Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. It's the 5k plan, week 1, session 5. We got to the end of the first week. Now what we're going to do today is a little bit bumpy, so just stay with me for this one. We're going to do 4 minutes at 20 strokes per minute, and your pace is going to be 2k plus 16, which is around about 5k plus 11. Then we're going to go right into a 2-minute session at 28 strokes a minute, and your pace for that will be 2k plus 6, which is around about 5k plus 1. Then we're going to do the 4 minutes at 20 strokes a minute, again at the same pace you did it the first time round. Then we're going to take 2.5 minutes rest. Then we're going to repeat that 4-2-4 again, another 2.5 minutes rest, and another 4-2-4. Just stay with me, it'll be fine. Follow me for stroke rate and pace, you'll be good, okay? So don't worry about it, it's a good little speed bump in the middle of it. So from an intensity point of view then, well, this really makes this one kind of the top end of the mid-tier, okay? This is about giving you some intensity, holding on to it, but although within the 2 minutes and that transition to the 4, you might feel as though you're tickling a top tier, you shouldn't really ever get to a point where you're going to be like lying on the ground afterwards, okay? So from a speech point of view, what this means is that in the first 4-minute interval, you should find speech okay. In the 2 minutes, it'll get tougher, and then as that transition into the next 4 minutes, you're probably going to be finding it really tough. But then as you go through that second 4 minutes of each stage, then you'll find it eases off and gets easier as you get to the end of it. And then you get your 2.5 minute rest, okay? So that's the 3 ways to look at it between pace, intensity, and your speech pattern. So right, let's just get straight into our 4-minute warm-up. So make sure and set your drag factor first, please. If you don't know about drag factor, check out the video on this channel. Set the monitor to eye height so you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down, and set the straps for the foot stretchers so they cover either the bottom lace in your shoe, or if you're in socks like me, they let you comfortably bend forward at the front. Right, so as always, 4-minute warm-up, around about 18 strokes a minute, and I'll just talk you through it, okay? In 3, 2, 1, go. It's another cold one in the studio today, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting some heat on, which, trust me, is going to happen today. Like I say, this one's about that feeling of 5k intensity and kind of rowing through it, and realising that when that little alarm bell sounds to say, hang on, you're working quite hard here, that you know you can manage it, that you can go through. It's not the same intensity as a 2k, but the point being that in a 5k, you're rowing 2.5 times longer. Well, distance-wise anyway. Maybe not from a time point of view, but... Right, so we're a minute down into this warm-up. Just make sure to have a good wee think about concentrating on that push of the legs. So it's a nice solid connection, heels down, push into the foot plates to make it feel as though you're pushing the machine away from you. And then you also want to just think about how powerful your back feels. Are you nice and, yeah, powerful is a good word, on your sit bones at the front of the machine, leaning slightly forwards. I'll go through technique stuff in the 4-minute parts anyway. All right, let's do one more stroke and take a foot out. Continue rowing with just one leg. This is going to help your flexibility. It'll help you really focus on pushing with your leg rather than just sleepwalking through your stroke. Also kind of helps with balance as well. You don't lean to one side. Swap feet. And just think about what your compression at the front of the stroke is like. This should allow you to get a little bit further forwards into your perfect position in the catch. right here. One more stroke here. Both feet in, slight bend to the knees, and just back and arms. Try and think about sequencing. So back, arms, arms, back. Back, arms, arms, back. Don't do an over lean. Just let your body rock over your hips. So you're on your sit bones at the front again. One more. Let's do the reverse. Straight arms. Just push very lightly with the legs, enough to connect with the flywheel at the front of the machine. This isn't a power play, this is just get that feeling at the front. And nice straight arms. Engaged core. There we go. That's our 4-minute warm-up done. Keep moving up and down the rail, have a quick drink, and I'll go through today's session as quick as I can one more time. Okay then, so just to repeat, we're going to be doing 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, then a 2.5 minute rest, then 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 2.5 minute rest, then 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, okay? Now your 4 minutes are always going to be at 20 strokes per minute, and your pace is going to be 2k plus 16, which is your 5k pace plus around about 11. And then the 2 minutes are going to be at 28 strokes a minute, and you're going to be doing them at 2k plus 6, which is around about 5k plus 1. Now, if you want to set your monitor to do the 4-2-4 and 2.5 minute rest as well, rather than adjust row, make sure when it comes to the rest to set it to undefined, okay? Because otherwise we're going to end up hideously out of sync, just the way, the quirk of how the monitor works, okay? So undefined rest for 2.5, and then we'll be able to stay in time. All right, so there's nothing really else to say before we start the row. I might as well talk a bit more about what it's going to feel like as we get into it rather than scaring you beforehand. Not scaring, it's fine. Anyway, right, so let's get into our main session. So get yourself strapped in, have a last drink if you need it. Get yourself nice and comfortable, and then we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, go. So here we go. So 20 strokes per minute, 2k plus 16. So for me, the pace I'm aiming for right now is 2:01, because I'm still playing off a 2k time of bang on 7 minutes. So plus 16 for me is 2:01. So it does take, you'll find you're probably having to add in a little bit more oomph from your legs, especially compared to usually these 20 strokes a minute pieces. We're at 2k plus 18. So you're doing 20 strokes a minute, but those extra 2 seconds you're squeezing out does take a fair bit of a whack from your legs. So this is when technique becomes important, that you're making sure that your power is effectively getting into the machine. So make sure and have that forward lean at the front, sitting on your sit bones. Shoulders past your hips. Leaning into about 1 o'clock. Arms nice and straight to allow the power to surge up through your body, through your arms, then through your hands and into the handle. And do, like I said in session 4, do make sure and think about a good solid push with the legs. Like, concentrate on them. It's funny how when you actually focus and think push, it becomes much more of a conscious effort. It actually makes it easier to go faster. Okay, so we've got just under 30 seconds, and then we're going to kick up to 28 strokes a minute. And 2K plus 6, or 5K plus 1. Which, for me, means, oh, my stroke rate's not fast enough, that's what it means. Come on. 151 pace for me. There you go, so that took me a good 20 seconds this time round to get the transition up to 28 strokes properly. But we're there now. Get that handle away after you've pulled it in nice and fast to help you with the speed of recovery for the higher stroke rate. Just a little bit slower than 5K pace, which makes a difference. Right, 20 seconds to go. Watch the transition here. Try to get as close to your 2K plus 16 pace as quick as possible. One more. Here we go. So, I'm way off right now. Come on. The change down to the 20 strokes per minute is a real tricky part of this row. After going so fast for those 2 minutes, you're so used to finishing a faster interval by just going into a rest that it's actually quite alien to slow down but continue. So that change down, as you saw with my times, can be tricky. But we'll see how we get on the next set of 4-2-4s. See if all these little transition issues from the 4 into the 2 and then the 2 into the 4, see if they get any easier. Two minutes to go. Try and hold your pace. Like I say, it's a top end of the mid-tier workout, but it's all about getting you used to intensity and hardship for actual longer periods of time. In the 2K training that we did, never really exposed yourself to hardship for much longer than 5 or 6 minutes in any one interval. And although this is like a 10-minute interval broken into chunks, you're still working hard for 10 minutes at a time. And just working a lot harder in the middle. Right, 5 more strokes to go. Finish good and strong. Push with the legs. Last stroke coming up. Well, my average for that last one was quite far off, really. Meant to be 201, and my average was 201.4, which over 4 minutes is quite a large difference. So the first one I averaged just 2 minutes 0.8, so pretty much bang on pace. But then that transition from the 2 minutes into the 4 minutes is obviously what cost me quite a lot of time. Still getting weird kind of crampy feel, not cramp, but pressure issues from the seat pad. Once I get used to those pressure issues on my muscles, it's fine. But I've done a good couple of 100,000 meters now on this, and it still hurts every time. So now do you see what I mean about the top end mid-tier? So you shouldn't really have hit the top tier. There shouldn't have ever been a point in that where you're really flailing and struggling and thinking there's no way you could complete that interval. But it's certainly not your normal middle of the road mid-tier, okay? Because that little 2 minute speed bump in the middle, and then that transition into the 4 minute. In many ways, that transition into the 4 minute is tougher than the 2 minutes as it is just to try and get yourself back up to pace at 20 strokes a minute. Your legs are kind of screaming a little bit from the 2 minutes, and then you're backing right off. But then you're asking your legs to really give a good solid drive to get yourself back up to that 2K plus 16 or 5K plus 6. So this is exceptionally good training. It's the perfect workout to do at the end of the week after yesterday's long, slow recovery one, and then maybe a rest day tomorrow. Right, if you're on undefined rests, please press your button now to get ready for the next interval. We're going in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That was lucky. Almost ended up having to do this strapless. Okay, so same 20 strokes a minute, 2K plus 16. So just going through this whole process 3 times. You should have recovered well enough in the 2.5 minutes that just passed that this should feel not that much tougher than the first time round you did it. Your breathing should be back to normal. Your muscles will certainly know that you're doing some work today, but you shouldn't be feeling as though you don't have the muscle fitness to continue. And so it's just a case of getting the groove in, making sure you get the right stroke rate, got the rhythm right. You're driving hard enough with the legs to hit the split time you need to. And I don't think I need to tell you not to overcook things. If you try and do this 2K plus 16 stuff faster, you're probably not going to have it in you for the 2K plus 6 that's going to happen in 2 minutes time. Or you might do it, but as a consequence you'll put this session firmly into a top tier, and it's not meant to be there, just meant to be a hard mid-tier session. Remember, mid-tier doesn't mean mid-effort. Mid-effort is more like the bottom tier. Maybe I've messed up my naming, but I didn't want to go mid, hard, killer or anything like that. Figured I'd put people off if I did that. Right, less than a minute to go on this 4-minute interval. So what you'll find is if you set your monitor to the 424, there may be a pause while it waits for you to take the first stroke on the next interval, which is why we can go out of sync. Right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, let's try and get up to pace, nice and fast. That felt like a much easier transition up to this 28 strokes a minute stroke rate. Got the pace and the stroke rate pretty much locked in. Remember to still try and hold technique. Don't crumple yourself up in the hopes of squeezing a little bit more pace. So full slide forwards and back. Try and keep your back constantly rocking from 1 at the front to 11 at the back. And make sure to concentrate on that solid drive with the legs as you start the stroke from the front of the machine. Right, a few more strokes. One more. Here we go. Get down to your pace. Good. Powerful leg press. You will recover if you just give it some time. What's going on? Overcooking it a bit there. So the first 30 to 45 seconds of that change down, you do feel you're suffering a little bit from the after effects of the 2 minutes that came before it. But then, as we get down to a minute and a half gone, you should find your comfort and rhythm is all settled down, so that it's much more manageable. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot more intense holding 2K plus 16 or 5K plus 11 on this 4 minutes than it is the first 4 minutes. But if you compare how it felt as you did the transition from the 2 minutes into this 4 minutes, you should be feeling a lot more comfortable. But if you say the first 4 minutes was a 6 out of 10, this is definitely a 7 to 8 out of 10. With the 2 minute 28 strokes a minute piece feeling more like 9 out of 10. So although 9 out of 10 would normally peg as a top tier, because it's only 2 minutes and it's bracketed side by side by these 4 minutes, that's what keeps it in a mid-hard intensity. Instead of a top really hard throughout. Last stroke coming up. Why am I? Yeah, I mean that was 156 BPM for me finishing, which, yeah, I've lost the little polar thing that goes on my heart rate monitor. Can't find it, so I'm having to do my watch, which is why you can't see my heart rate on screen. I'll find it. No matter what will happen is I'm never going to find it. I'll never see that heart rate thing again. I'll go straight online, buy a new one, and within minutes I'll find the one that I can't find right now. No idea where it is. Whew. So yeah, you should be feeling it. I'm certainly out of breath, hot, worked up a nice sheen, needing a drink. But I'm not facing into the next set of 4-2-4 thinking, oh, there's no way I can finish that. I know I can get through it, it's just going to be just a little bit of exertion. It's the intensity, the hardship that we need. Remember, the hardship you're doing here is kind of what you're going to be feeling through the 5K. Except from the 5K you'll be feeling it for longer. And what this session is meant to do is the tougher, hard session of the week. What this is meant to do is kind of make it so that you don't panic. This is my big problem. This is why I've put this one in here, is that I get to a certain point in any race, 1K, 2K, 5K, 10K, where I'll be like, hang on, I'm starting to feel out of breath. My muscles are starting to go on fire here. I'm not fit enough for this. I'm never going to make it. And I start to panic. So by exposing myself to the feelings of what it feels like in sessions like this, when it comes around, I can say, oh, I remember that. That's the same as the 4-2-4. I was able to get through that easy, and I won't panic. I still have to think, am I going to get it to the end? But at least I won't panic. Right, pressure button for those undefined rest people. Get ready to go in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Same again then, so 20 strokes a minute, 2K plus 16, or 5K plus 11. And incidentally, this is one thing I've never really said. If you have both 2K time to work from and you have a 5K time that you can work from, as in you've done a 5K row and you have a finishing time, then pick your 5K. Don't go for the 2, because we want to base this on your actual 5K abilities. Because say you did a 5K in exactly 20 minutes, right? The only reason I'm saying that is it helps with my maths. So a 5K in 20 minutes means your training pace is 2 minutes, because there are 10 500 meter chunks in a 5K. Divide 20 minutes by 10 and it's exactly 2 minutes per 500 meters. So that would be your training pace based off a 5K. However, if you did a 2K in 7 minutes 50, your 2K training pace would be 1:57.5, which is 2.5 seconds faster than what your 5K was. So there's obviously some physiological makeup or mental makeup to make the difference between your average 2K time and your average 5K time. So what it would mean is your 2K plus 1 pace would be 158.5. Your 5K plus 1 pace would be 201. And that, when it comes to the 28 strokes a minute, that 3.5 second difference, 3.5, 2.5, is huge. So, you're best to have a 5K benchmark and work from your actual 5K ability rather than translating your time up from a 2K. So maybe after a rest day, maybe try a 5K time trial if you haven't already. Or replace one of the fast sessions with it. About 2, 1, let's go up to 28. Hopefully, it wasn't too much of a struggle to hit rate and pace for you. If you think about how far off I was the first time round and how I instantly hit stroke rate and pace this time round, just shows how it's all about training, teaching your body to get used to it, used to the sensation of a higher stroke rate, but also used to how you change the leg pressure, how much you push into the machine. So I have to say, I'm not changing what my arms are doing at all. I wouldn't say I was pulling in any more forcibly than before. So my pace increase of 10 seconds is coming from my leg drive and from the stroke rate. It's not about the pull. Two, 1, here we go. Down to 20. Get those solid leg drives in. Make sure and breathe. Get the oxygen in, and importantly, the carbon dioxide out. Hopefully, you found that transition from 2 to 4 a lot better as well. Now you know how to handle it, which again comes down to powerful leg drives. Difference here being, like I said, you're not really used to pushing this hard with your legs at 20, you're usually 2 seconds slower than this. Well, from a 2K pace point of view. Right, so we've got just over 2 minutes to go. It's going to feel hard right now, but shouldn't feel any harder than the session demands. Remember, I'm holding the same relative pace that you are, and I'm talking the whole way through it. So I have to figure it's going to be, if anything, easier for you than it is for me. We're almost there. With 3 minutes down in this final chunk, I can feel everything in my body just calming down. So that really I could continue for another 10 minutes at this pace. I wouldn't fancy doing another 4-2-4, but I could hold 5k plus 6, 2k plus 16, no wait, plus 11, get my maths wrong. Where am I? 2k plus 16, 5k plus 11, yeah. Sorry about that. About 3, 2, all done. Right at the last minute, got the maths wrong. Hashtag maths fail. Don't know if I used that before, but let's use it again today. Hashtag maths fail. Or so close. Right, have a quick drink and then we'll kick into a 2-minute cooldown. Just row. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Just try and hit around about 2k plus 30. That should give you enough of a sensation of a engaged leg drive and still needs you to maintain good posture and connect properly with your arms. Because if you go too much slower than this, you can end up just kind of lazily just da 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 da. And this is not a cool down. There's nothing cool about this. So 2k plus 15 still needs your back lean and a leg drive and posture, but it shouldn't take any of your muscles or lung power. So remember, the whole point is you're meant to be cooling down right now. So there we go. Week 1's done. Well done. Whether you've done this as a week or whether you've spread it over a couple of weeks or whatever, well done for getting through it. In many ways, the 5k can feel a little bit more intense than the 2k, mostly because the sessions are longer and tend to keep the intensity going for longer, but just not at a 2k intensity. There's a graph somewhere. I won't bore you with it. So anyway, let me know how you got on with this one, how you're finding the plan so far. make sure and take a rest day if you haven't already. Ideally, you take 2 rest days a week, but with a training plan that takes up 5 days, if you had 2 rest days, you wouldn't have any room to do any elective rowing. So Ben could always just replace one of my sessions. Like I say, if you're going to do a 5k time trial, just next week don't do the top tier hard session, just do a 5k time trial instead. As long as you put your absolute everything into it. If you pace it and hold off and kind of keep it in a mid tier, it doesn't count. It doesn't count as a 5k time trial. Whole point is you're supposed to squeeze every last second out of your 5k so you can then set your training pace. There we go. We're all done. I got my maths wrong. We managed to get through it together. There was a couple of hiccups for pace from me, but hey, it shows I'm human if nothing else. And now that I'm using hopefully overlaying the erg zone information across the bottom, you can see exactly how I'm getting on and see when I fall away. So hey, we're in this together. We're both training. I'm not an alpha male. I'm not the best. I'm just working as hard as I can, just like you guys, to try and get my pace and fitness up. So we literally are in this together. And you're helping me, I'm helping you. It's a lovely world we live in, isn't it? You have a great day. Goodbye.